Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Welcome back to Edassa, the Holy Land. We are returning yet again to the bastion that is known as the Elysium amongst the kindred. Kan Ra has returned under watchful eyes and nervous whispers back to the Elysium to speak with Lady Madeline about a minor dispute he may have had with the Baron of recent. He is sitting there in his typical attire, without his face being covered of late, sitting at a table, simply waiting for his, well, let's say at this point, a mediator to arrive.
It doesn't. He's been sitting there um, a little while before the doors open, and Madeline comes in with um, two gentlemen dressed in tattered robes, somewhat shabby looking, but they seemed a little bit scarred and a little bit more gruff or rough in appearance than she normally you would normally see around town. But they don't say much. They just go in and she just smiles to them and just lets them fits them to sit at a table. They don't seem to be too not necessarily comfortable, but they just seem a little bit tense, I suppose you could say, and they just look a bit around and mostly focus on her. She goes over and go ahead. It's good to see you. Good evening. I hope the nights find you well.
Kan Ra is kind of looking at you, then looking at the two men, then looks back at you. You're that nervous of me too?
Oh, sorry, what did you say?
Are you that nervous of me too?
Oh, she looks a bit puzzled and turns her head a bit sideways. I'm sorry.
You. He looks at you. There, kind of confused look on his face. You do not know.
I'm quite sure there's a lot of things I do not know, but
Hmm.
well, should I be
Forgive me.
afraid? She smiles.
He smiles back. It's a bit weak. It's like, forgive me. I assume the Baron have told you of my actions of recent. And he points to a chair. Do please sit. Let me pull it for you.
Oh, thank you. She sits down, smiles at me. Oh, uh, these two are two of my newest children.
Hmm.
I hope to teach them much. Not in the strictest of ways. They have not joined us per se, but I hope to teach them much.
Hmm. He kind of pauses at that. What about the other? Oh, and he stops himself. I remember now. I understand. Said, I hope these fine gentlemen can be trained properly.
I know they can. They have the very best teacher. She smiles very broadly, a little bit creepy, maybe, depending on who you are and what you know.
Uh, he kind of slightly disregards that, but so, my lady, I may have had a minor dispute with the Baron in the past few days. I simply wanted to make clear the Baron of my opinion about some of these accusations and also my capabilities. But I promise you this, nobody was hurt. Maybe some pride, but other than that, nothing permanent.
Well, if that was the case, I am quite sure I would have heard of it. But have you not assisted the city greatly in these last couple of weeks against the would-be invaders?
I he kind of thinks about it. As far as I can really say of any of the notes besides the takeover at the church and my assistance with the siege, which is, in my opinion, merely minor. I couldn't say I've done much. A few sabotages here and there.
Well, you have done things to help the city. I would applaud you for that at least. And when certain actions are taken and certain personalities discuss certain things, well, tempers can flare up. But exactly what happened between you and the Baron?
Well, the Baron in our conversation implied something that I did not care for. He indirectly threatened my people, and I couldn't. And not only that, soiled my reputation as an entertainer. And I just couldn't quite deal with it in maybe the most constructive ways. So I simply asked one of the maidens within the Elysium to accompany me for that moment, and she may have soiled herself in front of the Baron. But I can promise you this: she had a enjoyable time.
I find that a bit hard to believe, given the fact that she looks at you.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that very well.
I find that somewhat hard to believe, given that she, as you said, soiled herself.
Listen, it was a mere parlor trick for me. I simply got her maybe a tad bit too excited.
Because of the Baron insinuating that you were not an entertainer. Was he pleased with the display?
He seemed to be rather concerned, calling guards, and there was a rather bit of tension in the air. I saw it as a minor taste of what I can do, but he seemed to take it much more harshly than I was to expect.
Mm.
And he looks at Madeline kind of sternly. He seems so attached to the kind. In some ways, he resembles them. So attached.
Well, I suppose you're right. In certain ways, he is perhaps not to the kind specifically, but quite a bit of their customs, ideals. It's quite, in some ways, he is quite denied, to be honest, which is refreshing, I suppose. It's not all those who shroud themselves in chivalry who can truly be said to uphold the norms, the laws, uh, that is what is expected of a knight. But he would seem to be one of those who can. He surprised me, to be honest.
I can see some merit in what you say, but his chivalrous nature seems to me, in my opinion, cut to his convenience. He can be upstanding when it's easier for him, but my example is I should have made me clear to the Baron. I understand he is a busy man and his will guides us within the city, but his presence within the siege would have been much appreciated, and he was not there. Not even a minor blessing to the troops before they leave the city.
Hmm. Well, his position is not one of religious nature, but I suppose you could make an argument. That would have been better. But, of course, I am sure you had all of the best reasons for not being there.
I pray that he does. Though I will not question his judgment. He has proved himself more times than I can count. Though that does disturb.
What? Sorry? Intermission. Do, 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 do,
All right,
do,
I'm
do,
back.
do. All right.
Yeah, like I was saying. Though this action has disturbed me to a point of notice.
Well, if the Baron requires an apology, I am quite sure he will let me know, and I will let you know. But I would urge the both of you to think that when a situation like ours unfolds, well, we can get quite annoyed with each other.
Yes, I can do so. I don't wish to sully my relationship with the Baron. I like the man. I like the man. Well, well and good, but but I don't care for the idea that I've heard in amongst the winds and amongst the people that he has a tendency to throw his weight around. And he brings up, and he kind of hesitates slightly, but he says it anyways. I know that is somewhat due to the nature of your clan, if I remember correctly.
Hmm. Also, you mean our name,
Hmm.
the Magistrates? You would not find the same of Clan Ventru?
I can easily say the same for Clan Venture as well, but I guess depending on who you talk to, they say the Venture are more subtle compared to the La Sombra. But in the end, it doesn't really matter. And honestly, I probably shouldn't even brought it up. But I prefer to be
Oh, but
honest
you
with you.
did, my friend. You did. She smiles at you, just leans in a bit closer. But you must admit that we are all much better looking in the bedroom. She
And
she giggles a bit as she leans backward again.
and he kind of smiles at that and goes, "My lady, you must be overcome with a slight sense of madness. I do appreciate it, but do remember your Baron's decree."
Quite so. I was merely fishing for a compliment on my good looks, but
Do forgive me, though I'd love to ravish you in many things. I think amongst this place I'm going to control myself.
oh, alas, it is probably for the better. See, this is what I do not understand of our following. He seems to hold the notion of uh, chivalry, I suppose you could say, in regards to certain things regarding well, the relationship him and I have.
I feel that the Baron overcomplicates things,
Oh, I
and I
agree.
and I'm also aware that I feel like in some cases he tries to acquire more than is attainable.
Well, it will be to his. He will learn soon. At some point, he will learn. I am quite sure.
I pray that he does. I,
But at first, he will not like it, but I hope to show him someday, somehow.
Mhm. What? Do you have any, I guess, insights I should know before I possibly meet the Baron again? I, I'm aware that he may hold grudges for a while, and I like to avoid any unscrupulous behavior from him if we meet again.
Well, I can try to speak to him before the two of you meet, if you would like.
I'd highly appreciate that.
Very well. I will have you work with him. I'm quite sure that, although he does not indulge everything to me, I'm quite sure that a lot of things weigh on his mind quite heavily.
Well, hopefully you can lift some burdens from his shoulders.
Well, I lift a lot of burdens for him. But this one, I'm most definitely right. He has a lot of things to consider and deal with, and I hope to at least take this very minor thing and spell it or solve it so that he can focus on the defense of this.
Yes, of course. Mm. Though I will bring up, I'm still having this soiree, and within the week's time. Of course, you're invited, Lady Madeline.
Please, I know that most people would grace me with such honor, but I must still remind you, I am but Madeline, or Sister Madeline. I am not a lady.
And he smiled at that. Aren't you not wishing for compliments?
Oh, and I did say that I did appreciate such honor you could bestow upon me, but I am not having the habit of taking honor that is not mine to take.
Very well, sister. But
What is
nonetheless,
this soiree you plan on? Is it at your own? Is it at your place? Or
yes, it'll be at my estate. Like I plan to have the atypical provisions: music, entertainment, food. And unfortunately, I can't bring as much inventory within my place due to being so bottlenecked due to the siege. But I'll try my best to keep everybody highly entertained.
well, then I must make all the sure that I will be there to see it.
Hmm. So it'd be dimmer without you. So I very much look forward to your presence.
Hmm. Well, I will never say no to a good soiree. Of
Uh,
course, as long as it does not conflict with any other business or any other problems that might arise. But if there is no other official matters I must attend to, I will be there.
then I will do my best to schedule at your convenience.
Um, she smiles and nods. Just, so, is there anything else on your mind? Anything I can help you with?
Mm, I would say at this point there would be no other major concerns. Though, if you do, if I'm unable to make sure that you can arrive at the party, I do think there might be something wrong with the frame of my bed, but I'm not sure. I'm not-
Well, that sounds like a serious concern. I will try my very best to help you when the time comes.
Oh, I think you'll have a great eye for detail. Uh,
But you cannot be certain, but I can assure you that you are right in this matter.
mm,
She smiles quite seductively at him and nods. Just, ah, but we spoil ourselves, do we not?
mm. Conrad smiles back at her and he stands up. I hate to cut our conversation short, but if I am going to do this properly, I will need time. Do please, if you wish to observe, don't hesitate to come by.
Oh, I will. At some point. Um, if you have not already said out of character, she will ask for the specific date uh, and time of this gathering.
Mm, it would be the equivalency of what they probably consider more or less probably a Thursday or a Friday.
All right, all right. But she again, she has her like a couple of books with her, and you can see that she notes in a fairly small book. She notes, she writes something down with a piece of. It's not. It's it's rubbing almost. It's very crude, like not charcoal, but something to that effect. She just scribbles down something, and then she just nods, smiles at you, and just well, let me not take up any more of your time than needed. But please have a good evening.
Thank you, Madeline. If you do come by, I'll make sure to bring over, and he says a specific name, we'll say, Calderius, the young boy that you met before you came to my estate. I'll make sure for him to be around.
Please do.
And at that point, he'll yet again bow and leave the Elysium.
Madeline will sit there, consider her for a while, smile. Then she will go over to her usual spot, sit down, and have her two ghouls come over. And for the moment, she will just have a quiet and relaxed conversation with the two. And as she begins to teach even more to these two, our scene will come to a close. Thank you very much, players, for playing, and watchers for watching. Good night.